welcome to the live stream. As always, what we're going to be down different currency markets. Look back at the couple of days in regards to the Forex market so far, and one thing I want you to understand: no matter what your situation is at this point in the, whether you're up big, whether you haven't traded, still multiple days in regards to the trading week left. So we're going to basically get into different charts today. Regards to markets, we're basically going to look at about 4 different currencies, 5, and we're basically I'm going to give you a really valuable lesson about one of the trades I took yesterday. I know can really give you a really great lesson. So let's jump into the charts. The first chart we're basically going to look at theme is a really, so what you can see on screen is you can see the USD JPY. We're looking at the 50 chart right now. Right here, base 50. That's how you identify which time frame. This is trading view on a free trial of the same session software stuff I'm using. Description box for you just for the record. All right, so USD JPY. Now, for those of you who don't know who I am or what we do, our main focus on the show, our main focus on the whole channel is to help you make Forex profits. Everything we do is geared towards showing you or helping you trade the Forex market profitably. So one of the things you will notice very quickly is the way we do things in regards to the charts are probably a lot different from what a lot of people are used to. A lot of the time when it comes to our trading analysis, we're really focused on the past and what's actually happened in a very specific way. So if you go back over our previous live streams, they're not in the description box yet. If you're watching this on today, thanks for tuning in. Links will probably most likely be in the description box. But if you're watching this with me live, then definitely go back to our channel after the live stream, previous live stream, where all of this stuff that you can see on screen, the yellow box, the black line, all of this, the trend line, stuff, reason why. Okay. So on the weekend, we identified that the USD JPY was a currency so long, and subsequently, the USD JPY has just done that. Now, I'm not saying this to boast. The reason I say this is because I want you to understand more and more that the more work you do ahead of time, the easier it will be in regards to your trading. Okay, and hopefully, what's happened this so far, and what will happen, God willing, weeks in the future, when we're looking at the markets, breaking this down for you, in a public domain like this, you know what we're saying and it come to pass. Not always, we do get this wrong sometimes, but hopefully that will benefit you. Quite powerful. So we highlighted this black line right here, and we actually drew on this particular region previously. Okay? And the reason we drew these on because we were basically saying to ourselves, we want to basically see if we can essentially get a buy position in the areas. I know they look like almost perfect, so to speak. Like how could you have put that on previously before price actually got here? So just to give you some sort of context, looking at the charts at the time we was actually doing this, price would have looked something like this. Okay, and we're drawing on levels. Okay, look, where are we trying to buy a power position? And this is what subsequently happened. Now, this is actually really interesting anyway for a number, as you can see, we had this line, trend line, going all the way across, saying that, signaling to us that, okay, look, this is how the price seems to be destined to us to be actually going up. Okay. Give me a second. Let me try and turn up the sound for you. Right. How's that? Sound better? Sound should be better now. All right. Turned up the sound now, so the sound should be good all around. All right. So the fact of the matter is, the we thought this market was going up, and because we thought the market was going up, we basically were looking for levels to potentially buy from. Okay, we noticed from our analysis on the weekend that the USD JPY was moving up in a trending fashion. Okay, and that's why it's not such a surprise that it's actually stuck very tightly to this trend line that we actually drew on, and it was a loose trend line. So one thing we'll say is it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not something that we're always going to say, okay, yeah, you know what, this is exactly the level it's going to bounce off. But notice this area that we actually drew on, this yellow area, this yellow box that we've highlighted, price came right into the area, okay, which was also synonymous with where price bounced from previously. So we had two levels of confirmation, if that's what you want to call it, two really things of interest that kind of highlight to us that, look, maybe price is actually going to move up in this region. And surprise, surprise, well, not really a surprise, but it did. Okay, now this is yesterday's opportunity. Let's talk about today's opportunity, because what did price do today, the 24th? Well, price topped out in this particular region, which shouldn't be a surprise either, because price, that's what price has actually been doing, all of these different opportunities. Price is gradually moving up, and then we had nice good price action right on the trade, on just the edge of the trend line that we actually drew on, and gave it opportunity to actually go to higher levels. And where did it go again to? Well, surprise, surprise, it came back to this particular region. So if we knew from the previous few days of the market that, look, price is actually likely to go up, it's not a guarantee. We're not insiders. I'm not an insider. I'm a retail trader, basically, in the barest kind of sense of that word. Like, I trade my own money, I trade from home, etc. So there's no one feeding me insights that's saying, look, this is what the market's going to do. This is me looking at the markets and basically ascertaining and deciding, okay, this is what I think the market's going to do. But we've identified that, look, this is what the market might do, and we've identified a region that price might move up from. Price comes into this particular region and provides an opportunity. That's yesterday. So one trade, okay, and you can see it like this as well. Let's do this. One trade, in a lot of ways, can make a big difference, because we can now say, look, this is an opportunity. We need to go for at least 3 to 1 at a bare minimum based on the way I trade. And look at that. Okay. An opportunity with a stop loss below, entering the market, and look, the stop loss is in line with the trend line that I've actually drawn on, but also in line with price action somewhere down here. The target is still within this region here that price continues to top. So 1 time, 2 time, and even the current time today, the 3rd time price has continued to do this. So just bear that in mind, okay, every single time. So I'm doing that so you can understand exactly the method to what we're basically doing here. But this is one opportunity in this region. Today brings another opportunity as price continues to move up. So this is the USD JPY. So I want you to get really confident in the sense of, look, focus on one trade. One trade with the right risk and the right reward can do a lot for a trading account. If you've lost multiple trades during the week already, if you've lost yesterday, if you maybe you lost early in the morning today, this is just one opportunity on one currency. And we've talked about multiple opportunities. This was potentially one opportunity yesterday. This is a second opportunity today, all in the direction that we pinpointed before the market was open, before we could allow any emotion to get the best of us. Ultimately, when we were doing things logically and thinking about, okay, cool, how can we enter the market? Does this make sense? If this makes sense, 2 things, let me know in the comment section this makes sense. And another thing, if it does make sense, if you're getting value from what we're talking about, then definitely hit the like button. Okay, tell YouTube that We've got a content creator here who's teaching Forex and he's teaching good principles and things that actually make sense. Let's do this secondly. All right, we spent a lot of time on some of these time frames. Let's go down because we've talked a lot about opportunity. We're looking from a 1 hour view for most of it. Now let's look at today's potential opportunity and look at this on a lower time frame and see exactly what it looks like. Okay, so this is the same thing we could see from the 1 hour. The very same thing. Okay, what this area right here is what we're now about to analyze on the lower time frame on the 15-minute chart. Okay, we're going to switch to the 15-minute chart and we're basically going to see in more detail what this potentially looks like. Because if you can start focusing more on just one trade opportunity, you'll value it even better. So look, this is the most realistic opportunity from today, because through the Asian session, through the night time, basically while everyone's basically sleeping, price is gradually moving up. Then price basically at 9 a.m. in the morning here in the UK, 4 a.m. in America, basically now decides to do this and push back down. So while most people are probably looking at this thinking to themselves, oh wait, hold on, no, there's no way price is going up. Excuse me, price is actually going down. What did price do? To the uninitiated, to those that are not aware, there's no way price could go up. But for us that are initiated in some senses from our vantage point, why? Because what did we do on the weekend? We prepared, didn't we? We said, look, we're going to spend some time on our weekend and we're basically going to put ourselves in the best position to make profits during the week, etc. Okay, so we're not doing this. We're not saying, look, this is what price is doing right now. Now, what are we going to do? What decision are we going to make? No, this is how a lot of us will lose money, because we become emotional. Because what makes us emotional? Let me show you right now. See this right here? That is what makes us emotional. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. The thing that's flicking every second, basically, not 20 seconds. The thing that flicks every second is the thing that is likely, in a lot of cases, making people emotional and not think about things rationally. So this is the USD JPY. What we're going to do, well, this has been the decision most of the week. We're going to continue doing this. Why? Because price is continuing to move up. Where are levels of interest? Well, look, there's no reason why we shouldn't continue to just focus and see what price is doing. If price continues to move up in a trending fashion, let's continue to see if it's going to continue to focus and flow with this in this trending manner, basically. Let's see a higher time frame so we can get a bit of more context. You can see, look, this is tight. Price is moving up in a lot of ways. Now that this is done, we can literally get rid of this. Because it's been used already, we've used it already. Hopefully, those of you who have been watching along with me over the last couple of days have been using these things to your profit, basically. Let's look at another currency. Let's look at the euro. As we go through these, bear in mind I said at the start of the stream, I want to talk about in today's stream as well, at one point, a trade I took yesterday, which is it's got a valuable lesson for you. I'm not going to tell you how the trade went yet. I'll tease that a little bit more, but it's going to give you a valuable lesson, and I'm going to break it down for you as well and give you a lot of the context of why this is actually so beneficial to you. All right, let's look at the euro now, which I think is really interesting. And if you've got any questions, by the way, as well, feel free to put them in the comment section and I'll try and answer those for you. All right, so again, same thing I said in the previous analysis of the USD JPY. We're looking at the euro USD right now, and all of these yellow boxes, these lines, all make sense, okay, shortly. So this is another interesting one. On the weekend, we said, you know what? We believe the market is moving down. So we're looking for trade opportunities on the Euro USD to sell. Now let me just do this. All right, let's move over to the side and see what things were looking like to start the week. So we talked about this literally on yesterday's live stream about this particular trade opportunity that came out of our analysis on the weekend. We identified that, look, the market's moving down. Similar fashion to the USD JPY in the sense we had a trend line on, which was basically saying, okay, cool, let's see what price does along this region. Okay. Now, again, I'm not saying this to boast. Look, exactly, we had the trend line. We highlighted this particular area right here. We said, you know what? Previously, price has moved down quite heavily from this particular region. So if price comes back into this region, it's likely it might do it again. Okay, because the long-term momentum, the tide, as I've been saying for years, I've been saying it so much again in recent days, the long-term tide, the tide that is going to come and basically push the market whatever way it's going to go. We don't want to swim against the tide. That's how we lose a lot of money. We want to allow the tide to carry us to where it's going to go. That's why when the market is likely moving down, I say, you know what, smart money is for me to basically take a short position and look for short positions, not look for long positions. Doesn't mean that the market doesn't move up. Doesn't mean that you can't buy positions basically as the market's moving up. But I want to go with probability. I want to put the odds in my favor as much as possible. Okay, so when you think about it from that standpoint, does that make sense? Going with the long-term momentum as much as possible. So we highlighted this particular area anyway, and look exactly what price did in that region. Provided a really good opportunity to get into a potential trade. Okay, and when you think about it like this is one trade again. Notice I don't get caught up in I need to take 4 trades, 5 trades, 6 trades, 7 trades. The more trades you do, think about this. Right, so the Euro USD has obviously provided a good opportunity so far yesterday. Now we move into Tuesday, and what do we see? Do we see another opportunity on how on the market, how price basically came back into the second region and now pushed down again. Okay, now you're not always going to have the opportunity to get into all of these positions, but think about what's happening. Even though price is actually moving up, okay, because maybe price doesn't want to continue to move down in the way it has been over recent weeks, we can now, same way, get rid of these now, especially as they basically expire, because this is what one thing you have to realize. You may do your analysis and it may work like it did, and then what happens next, it basically breaks out. It basically goes against those things that you've actually done. But why does that not matter? It doesn't matter because you were talking about something that happens after the fact. We don't know these things are going to happen in the future, but we should have already been able to capitalize before these changes in events, these changes in occurrence actually happen. Okay, so as we can see again, notice what price did today. So it's the 24th, and what did price do? Price basically started by moving up, but what happened in the end? Basically, price tried to push down at this particular region here. It was basically a false start. Maybe you take a trade in that position because you're looking at this and saying, well, the long-term momentum is down. This is actually a potential area. There probably would have been nothing wrong with this, with taking a trade in that position, but it didn't work out. Okay, cool. Why is that not a problem? Because we're going to be risking a small amount of our trading account anyway, so it's whatever. Maybe we now say, you know what, let's take all of this off the chart. We say, okay, cool, it was a false breakout. We're going to basically take a sell position from this place. Maybe you take another trade. What happens? That's another 2%. Okay, cool. Then what happens the third time? Okay, you know what? Maybe it was another false start, but we're looking for that sell position. We're going to potentially lose 2%, or what are we going to do? Price is going to continue to drop down, and what's this going to be? We need to go for at least 6% based on how I trade. So look what's going to happen right here. Okay, look at where price is in real time right now. I'm going to put our stop loss above the price action. Okay, and notice, look at the risk to reward, 3.9 to 8. Look at this, 4.8 to 9. So at bare minimum, this is 6%, 3 to 1 risk to reward, right? Look at where I've underlined already. This is 3 to 1 risk to reward, right here. Okay, so one trade, what did that do? One potential winning trade at a bare minimum of 3 to 1 risk to reward is 6%. Now this cancels out a potential trade here and a potential trade here. Plus, what does it do as well? Leaves you with plus 2% on a day. On a day that you've traded how many times? Potentially 3 times. You've been right once out of the 3 times. 33% accuracy, but you're up 2%. Because when the trade opportunities come, you take them. So always focus on one trade. Whether you've lost a trade previously, whether you lost 2 trades in a row previously, no matter how much you may have lost, focus on one trade, because one trade covers. I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about the scripture in the Bible. It basically says love covers a multitude of sins, and I was thinking about from the standpoint of, look, one trade covers like a multitude of sins, so to speak. But I said, you know what, I'm not gonna like be aggressive with that because the context is completely different. But that was like a kind of like Christian kind of joke I had with myself earlier on, basically, when I was thinking about this kind of stuff. But one trade makes a big difference. Okay, let's see. And bear in mind, this is just 6%. If you go to 4 to 1, this is 8%. Notice, as I'm doing all this stuff, as I'm moving the potential target, just look this way. Okay, look at what price has done previously, because really and truly, that's what you should make your targets based on. Okay, so we're saying we need at least 3 to 1, so 3 to 1 would be right here. Notice what price was doing in this region. 4 to 1 would be here. 5 to 1 would be here. Can you see how the market has moved to this level in today's day, like price action? From this move up here to down here, where price is currently right now, is 6.77 risk to reward ratio. Okay, you could potentially have 17 pips stop loss, and what's this, 120 pips. And I'm not saying that to say yes, you're going to get all of that. I'm showing you this stuff so you can understand, like, just the method to what we're talking about here. Okay, so let's do this. I would have actually, let's go to the euro yen. Okay, this is the lesson I was basically talking about in regards to just a trade. So we'll look at the euro yen. I talked about this in yesterday's live stream, and I want to break stuff down. So I'm not going to go through the whole yellow area, black line, all these lines. I've just done that with 2 currencies already, so you understand just the whole, concept. Price was basically ranging between these levels. A range is basically like price sticking within a certain level. Okay, that's all it means, for those of you who don't know the lingo. But look, price was basically stuck in between these 2 levels. This is what we call a range. Okay, it's kind of like putting the currency in like a jar and just letting it move between like within the jar. Just bear, like, that's a good example, I believe. If it's not a good example, let me know in the comment section. I won't use it again. But let's see. So my whole thing was short the euro yen. Let's see what price does at this particular region, but be mindful of a false breakout. A false breakout is basically when price will act as if it's not going to do what you thought it was going to do, and then basically come back and do what it's going to do. Sort of like here, right here. Okay, price was going to move down, but it tried to make it out as if it was going to continue going up, and then it basically came down to do what it was going to do. So I was mindful as price was coming into this region that price might do a false breakout. So what I decided to do, I was looking for shorts, as you know. Let's go to the lower time frame, and you can see yesterday price came into this region. Now the mistake I made, because the trade was a losing trade, and it's funny, I was talking to my wife about this earlier on, and I was basically just like telling her like the mistake I made in regards to the trade. And like, we've actually got a video coming out tonight on the channel, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed so you can actually watch this video, which is basically talking about this very mistake, which is, it's kind of ironic in a lot of ways, because I say to myself, look, I better be the first person watching that video tonight because I made the exact same mistake. Okay, but I'm going to be truthful about it and tell you, because I know by telling you these things will actually benefit you even greater, okay, going forward. And it's reinforcing in my mind that, look, don't make these mistakes. So price came into the region fine, and full disclosure, I feel I was a bit, like, I've noticed recently in the last couple of days I've been a bit anxious. Like, maybe it's because it's this whole live stream setup. I'm talking more about trade opportunities, I'm talking more about the trades I've, and said, okay, cool, that look, this is what the market's basically doing. This is what I should have done if I was doing things the right way. I should have said, okay, cool, this is the area that I'm looking to trade from. This is the short. This is the risk to reward. But what I did is I basically deleted this. Well, let's push this to the side here and leave it there. What I basically decided to do is I basically said, look, I'm just eager. I'm too excited already. I decided to enter the market, okay, And my stop loss, I didn't put it up here or here, for example. What I decided to do is I said, you know what, I'm going to put my stop loss like here, like somewhere in this region. And this is just a classical mistake. Now, why would you do this? A lot of people won't understand why someone might do this. The fundamental thing you need to realize is this is all down to risk. Okay. If I have to put my stop loss up here opposed to here, all of this now becomes more risk. And that basically means if there's more risk on the table, that means there's less profit on the table. Because I can't put as much risk on into the trade in regards to the profits, because I need to secure myself in regards to the risk. So I made this mistake. I didn't put my stop loss up here, I put my stop loss here. Okay. And I actually took 2 trades. Now, full disclosure, both of the trades lost. Okay. The reason I'm saying this is because if I did what was wise, okay, and put my stop loss up here, I would have never entered the first trade, or I would have entered the first trade and I would have never needed to enter into the second trade. Okay, so you can see now already, just by making one mistake in trading can literally create a domino effect where it makes you make more mistakes, or it makes you lose potentially more than you need to. Okay, because ultimately, I was telling my wife this morning, this early afternoon. I was saying, look, at a bare minimum, worst case scenario, I should have been down 2% on this currency. But because I took the first trade in this region, which was the right region, planned it out perfectly, everything in advance, but I decided to not follow my rules ultimately in a lot of ways, or I did follow my rules, but I decided not to like do the stop loss in the right way. That cost me a losing trade. Now, the second part of this whole thing is, which I'm realizing, is entry. Okay, same thing I just kind of broke down in regards to risk. If I have to have a bigger stop loss, if I have to risk more, stop loss is basically the area where you say, look, this is to get me out of the market, it's gone against me too much, let me just close out for a loss and not basically lose anymore. So if I have my stop loss up here, the closer I can get, let's say for example, I have a trade here, this is all risk. If I get a trade in here, enter here, the risk now becomes halved. So you always want to be able to get your entry as close to your stop loss as like as feasibly possible. I'm not gonna say just do something silly like, you know what, just put a stop loss just really close to your entry. No, it has to make sense. Okay. And I could have easily had a trade from about here with a stop loss above. My entry, since it was a poor entry ultimately in the end, was closer to like down here somewhere or down here. So the risk became bigger. Why is this so important? This is what you need to pay attention to. The risk is so important because now we deal with the risk. What do we have to do now? We have to now focus on the reward. The reward needs to be at least 3 times to 1. This is how it all makes sense, how we can come round. Okay. So if I take a trade, if I enter here and my stop loss is up here, opposed to where I should have taken a trade around here. Okay. All right. That was an accident. Let's do this. Watch this. Let's now bring the trade scenario back. We put it based on, let's do it based on the first one, what we should have done. Okay. Now we're dealing with a 20 pip stop loss on the right kind of entry that I should have taken. Okay. Now with 20 pips, I need to make 60 pips at least, because we're talking about 3 to 1. And look at this. Where's 6%? 60 pips is right here. That's 3 to 1. Where's 80 pips? 80 pips, which would be 4%, is right here. Can you see? Look to the right. Notice how price hit the region at least 2 times before pushing up. So when you get the right entry and you put your stop loss in the right place, you don't need to take multiple trades, which I had to end up doing. And if now let's do this. And if you get the right entry, look at this. With the wrong entry, now all of a sudden the risk is going up. Look at this. The ratio is going down. Now we're not even at 3% yet. At 6%. Now look. Now this is where the minimum trade has to go. Okay. Did price get to that region? No, it didn't. It didn't get to that region. And now you can understand, and this is what we're going to explain even more so in the video that's coming out later on the channel today. So make sure if you're not already subscribed to the channel, so you can get updated instantly when that video comes out. But the fact of the matter is, because you take a trade from here with more risk, now you have to do more work to get profitable. If you take the right trade from up here, what happens? Now you have to do less work. Now I can go to here and get 6%. Now I can go to here and still be within 8%. Now, if I didn't make the mistake of not putting my stop loss up here, I wouldn't have been in the first trade, or the first trade would have materialized. Now, if I was more disciplined with the entry, I would have most likely taken one trade and won the trade, or I would have, at worst case scenario, lost one trade with 2%. So the reason I'm saying this is because, yes, it doesn't feel good to lose a trade. Yes, it doesn't feel good to have to come up and publicly talk about it. But I know that ultimately, just through me being humble about this and talking to you, I know I'm going to save you a lot of money if you focus on what I'm actually saying. Okay? So I saw a question come up earlier. I was talking about, as a beginner, what currencies do trade. Maybe I'll talk about that more so maybe on another stream. We're not going to be streaming tomorrow because tomorrow's my day off. It also happens to be my wife's birthday tomorrow, so that's more incentive as well not to do a live stream. Maybe I'll talk about that maybe on Thursday, God willing. But just one thing advice I'll give you is just follow what the person you're learning from is doing, okay? Unless they say otherwise. So for example, the currencies I've talked about today in today's stream have they're all worthwhile in regards to trading. And you can see we broke down opportunities in all of them, and we've seen the exact same thing. Now again, so yeah, I'll just leave it like that anyway. Hopefully that's been beneficial to you in regards to what we've basically been talking about today. Thank you everyone for tuning in with me live on the live stream. Make sure you like the video, share this with your friends, anyone that wants to learn about Forex. This is the goal that will help them actually learn how to trade the Forex markets even better. And what I'll say is, I'm going to say, see you on the next live stream, God willing, on Thursday, where we can help you continue to make more Forex profits before the week ends. Thanks and take care, and I'll see you on the next one. And make sure you tune into the video tonight because it's going to help you in loads of different ways.